Welcome back into the final segment of the show. We are turning our attention to commodities with Adam Dawes from Shaw & Partners, Mark Todd from the NAB, and now bringing to play Pete McGuire from XM.com. There you saw some price falls for crude. It was a volatile session. Part of that was, Pete, seemingly what was coming out of China on the data front, but also strength in the greenback. 1-2 punch on price. Where are we going rest of this week likely?
Well, good afternoon, Carsten. I had a big washout, 2.5%, I think, for Brent. I think you've got further softness, US dollar strengthening. No doubt, and take on board what's happened over the last probably 24 hours, the rhetoric coming out from the Trump side and, of course, North Korea. So all of that underpins US dollar strength. And in turn, probably the market was too toppy. It's had a very, very solid run up in the last, week and a bit. So probably a little bit of profit taking, and a 2.5% wash gives traders an opportunity, probably a little bit further downside.
All right, Mark.
768, Pete, up 3. So it's it's basically might as well up 3. It's rounding error, I think.
Negligible.
So, yeah, I think the flows are still pretty strong. I wonder how they think that the price earnings is going to look for this stuff, because they seem to make a lot of money in this oil still just in the US.
Absolutely, Mark. I mean, that doesn't story, 45, 46. As US dollar weakens, certainly the price will go up, but I think the outlier is going to be more rigs coming online, which in turn is going to dampen from a supply side. It's going to probably constrict the market a little bit. They're trying to wash those 2.5 or 250 million barrels out, and there's going to be concern moving forward. I think OPEC's got its hands full come, the next meeting in November.
So we're in the start of the driving season, or we're midway through the driving season?
Yeah, and hurricane season.
So how do you think that combination of the data that we got out of China that said, OK, they hadn't used as much consumption in oil as people had anticipated, we're in the driving season in the US. What do you think about the stockpiling? What do you think about the idea that the stockpiling is going to be a little bit more rapidly consumed in the US versus China?
Well, that could be the case, and but as you're climbing as far as the production coming out of that shale side, that's going to be a concern from a global perspective. Plenty of oil in the US. It's producing more each month as every month goes on, and well up compared to this time last year. I think about 11 or 12%, Mark. So I think rolling into 18, you'll have the same sort of headline number. The concern is going to be, where does US dollar play over the next, say, 3 to 4 months? What's happening as far as inflation out of the US? Do we get a rate rise? Where's Janet Yellen? All of those components go into the mix. We've got a stock market that just seems to be one-way traffic. And crude, probably, again, it's going to be a 46, 47 to 52 handle unless you get something massive breaks out or North Korea does something. And that, in turn, creates, huge geopolitical storms.
So out of left field, thinking about that huge political storms, what's your thoughts on gold?
I think that's a fantastic story at the moment, up 12% since Christmas, 7% since the lows that we had going back, I think, around about June or July 10. So really, when you think of what's gone on, huge consumption coming out of China and, of course, India. Backed off a little bit from China, but certainly the storyline isn't backing down. And just put some context to this, we've got 250 million Indians, probably over the next 5 to 7 years will be entering the middle class. If you put 1 gram of gold in each person's hand, that equals around about 250 tonne. So we think that there's going to be a far greater consumption moving forward for all of the precious metals, and certainly gold, across China and India. And I think that that's going to underpin price.
Adam Dawes, just on from your perch, this story, we've heard from Newcrest, we've heard from a number of other miners in the gold space. Any emerging in terms of not just sort of addressing cost, but looking out at new options on growth? What have you been surprised by this earnings season so far?
Yeah, I think I was a little bit surprised by Newcrest's result. Looked a little bit messy from our side of the world there. We still like Newcrest, lowest cost producer out there, but certainly we're sort of ramping up the exposure that we have to gold. I mean, you've got North Korea, you've got Venezuela, you've got some of these issues now that are sort of really starting to creep in sort of day-to-day talk, and obviously that sort of hedge against that or geopolitical issues is with gold. So our sort of top 3 are Newcrest, Evolution, and then we do the gold ETF, GOLD.
Thoughts, Pete? Santos now forecasting Brent to average 50 US this year, 55 next, and 60 the year after, with North Sea Brent about 70 a barrel from 2021. I mean, it's pretty gutsy, is it not, to go out that far?
Carson, the four of us will be over there and we'll be on a rig somewhere. That's if it hits $70 a barrel. There's no doubt that there'll be people from farmlands, from you name it, investment bankers. They'll be all doing the Jim Rogers story, and they'll be having a truck, and they'll be doing as much drilling as they possibly can, because if you're retrieving it with technologies down now at 42, that shows a wonderful sunshine of $28 a barrel.
Yeah.
And the average, I think the average rig's around about 650 barrels a day. That'll probably grow in time to, you know, may get up to that 800, 900. Just do the math. It's quite a nice little earner.
Well, I mean, Adam, are you a true believer? Macquarie remains linked to Santos. It remains a bull. And yet these impairments today really are a result of those reductions in their oil assumptions on price for the coming years.
We saw those impairment charges come out with Origin just last week as well, or early this week. So, yeah, I don't think Santos is alone in those impairment charges. I think the lower dollar and obviously the oil price assumptions also impacted one of their biggest assets, the Cooper Basin asset. And however, that sort of seems to be offset by that continuation of sort of cost efficiencies and performance at their improvements, because they are doing a lot of cost out to trying to get that. But certainly, those impairment charges aren't looking great for Santos. And you know,
well, yeah, come in. Pete?
No, go ahead, Carson. It's all good.
I was going to say, Origin ahead of those results tomorrow, falling 1.4%, but in fairness, that was a sector-wide decline, and we know that Santos is out with half-year numbers, August 24. Pete, thanking you from our Sydney CBD studio as always.
Thank you, Carson.
McGuire from XM.com. I want to thank as well the panel in just a moment, but here's a programming note just before we lose the two panellists briefly. Challenger's result under the microscope when Tiki Fullerton sits down with the CEO Brian Benari tonight from 6 on Tiki Tonight. Plus, Don May has a mea culpa of sorts. He was blaming today the technology, the rollout on France. Dough. Get it? Dough. They didn't get the apostrophes right when it comes to understanding their French market web addresses. So people were being let down by typing in La Université, L apostrophe, Université, and they hadn't really quite worked out that would be a vagary of en France, doing biz en France. So there you have it. So blame the technology. Well, Don tried to do that, but market wasn't buying it. He'll be on Switzer tonight from 7 o'clock, exclusively live. Want to thank the panel, Mark Todd from the NAB. Thank you as always.
My pleasure.
Domino's on the menu tonight?
No, not for me. Thank you.
More the pity. All right, could do with a bit of support right now. Adam Dawes from Shaw's, you're staying on a little bit longer, so dinner will have to wait, but thanking you. You're on the final count with Helen, myself, Peter Switzer too, and Henry Jennings from Marcus Today. It's live next.